most trustless name in news.
It's time to get smart. It's time to get real. I have a feeling the cryptocurrencies with real world use are going to smash the markets, whether that use be in crypto, a hybrid of crypto and TradeFi, or out in the real world tokenizing assets. So are you ready to get real with your boy Chico? We'll give it a pound because it's time for Chico Crypto. Well, my friends, the crypto markets have grown up before my eyes, quicker than I could have ever imagined. This bear market is once again washing out the trash like the thousands upon thousands of worthless NFTs and hundreds upon hundreds of gaming cryptos. I'm not saying these sectors won't come back, but many of their creations started in 2021 when the hype was around, and 2 years later isn't enough to build real world use. From what I've seen, you need over 4 years or over to see real world use. So that's exactly my strategy. Find the cryptos who have real world development happening now. Because in the bull run, when this is seen on the blockchain, these projects are going to pump. So who are my favorite real world use cryptos going into next year, into the halving, and finally into the bull run? Well, number one, we gotta speak about Chainlink. I know I covered them last week, connecting them to Citibank's new tokenization service with CCIP, but now I have some other crumbs about real world use that is happening, and you're not gonna wanna miss this. If you didn't know, late last week, it was announced that the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, and the central banks of France and Singapore and Switzerland successfully tested cross-border CBDCs using DeFi in a project called Mariana. Yeah, you read that right. They use DeFi, decentralized finance. And from the article it says, the project's success hinged on 3 key elements. Number 1, a common technical token standard. A standardized token provided by a public blockchain to facilitate interoperability and exchange between various currencies. Number 2, bridges for seamless transfer. Mechanisms for frictionless transfer of WCBDCs across different networks. And number 3, an automated market maker AMM, a specialized decentralized exchange enabling automatic pricing, execution, and immediate settlement of spot FX transactions. They then say about the AMM, it effectively pulled liquidity from the hypothetical Euro, Singapore dollar, and Swiss franc WCBDC, utilizing innovative algorithms to price and execute FX spot transactions automatically. This is freaking massive for DeFi, friends. DeFi that has been around since 2019, aka 4 years old. Real world use is coming for DeFi. So what public blockchain did they use? Well, from documentation on Project Mariana, we can see it says, for the purely explorative purposes of this POC and to reduce overall complexity of the implemented solution, the domestic platforms, as well as the international network, are based on Ethereum. Domestic platforms are permissioned versions of Ethereum, Hyperledger Besu or Quorum, and the international network is an Ethereum testnet, Sepolia. Then it says the Euro, SGD, and CHF WCBDCs are based on a uniform technical standard, specifically the so-called ERC20. Ethereum, Ethereum, Ethereum. But what else? Well, like I said, this connects back to Chainlink. Earlier this month, guess who announced they were testing interlinking CBDC solutions with 3 central banks? Swift did. The Swift Chainlink is highly connected to. Swift released a report in August of this year titled Connecting Blockchains, Overcoming Fragmentation in Tokenized Assets, Swift's Interoperability Experiments Connecting to Public and Private Blockchain Networks. Well, in this report, they mention the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, and CBDCs, and a 2-model system for these CBDCs. This will become important soon, the 2 system. But then they also mention Chainlink and its CCIP being used as the technology solution. They say, as part of our current project, we leverage the SWIFT network and the Chainlink cross-chain interoperability protocol, CCIP, to create an experimental solution. The goal was to test whether we could enable financial institutions to use their existing back-end systems to interact with tokenized assets and transact across both public and private blockchain platforms. Now, just a week and a half ago, Sergey was at Sibos 2023 and spoke on CBDCs. Let's listen to him now.
I've been speaking with a number of central banks all over the world, actually. And I really see two models.
He's working in talks with a number of central banks, then goes into this two-model system described in the SWIFT report created by the BIS. When you connect the dots together, it becomes obvious. Chainlink and SWIFT are helping with the BIS's experiments with central banks of Singapore, Switzerland, and France. Now, lately, everyone has been all over Chainlink's nutsack, but it wasn't always this way. There's been major FUD slung at Link regarding them selling tokens. 2020, the founder, Sergey, is dumping and setting up shorts against Link. In 2021, Chainlink team sold 38 million in Link per week. In 2022, with the release of staking, they were still just a dumping and a dumping. Well, now this exact same thing, selling FUD, is happening to one of my favorite cryptos, who has real-world use on lockdown. That is Energy Web, who, by the way, came out around the same time as Chainlink. They've had over 5 years to build. In the mid part of this year, Energy Web team is selling because the price goes down. And recently, big FUD slinging is coming in. The EW team is just continuing to dump and dump. I've covered EWT extensively, their massive batch of partners, the solutions, and the change it's going to bring to this world and the energy sector. I am still super bullish on EWT because their solutions are coming. The parachain is almost ready, which will transfer into a para relay chain once capacity is hit. And I'm very confident this capacity will be hit very quick, because they have that real world use. Per example, real world use with Bitcoin ETFs. If you didn't know, a month and a half ago, Europe launched its first spot Bitcoin ETF, the inaugural one. This was launched by a London-based Jacoby Asset Management, and they say this about it. Jacoby FT Wilshire Bitcoin ETF is also billed as the first decarbonized digital asset fund compliant with Article 8 of the European Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, which applies to funds promoting environmental and social objectives. The firm partnered with the digital asset platform Zumo to implement a verifiable built-in REC solution, Renewable Energy Certificate. Zumo, and guess what the platform for this is called? It's called Oxygen, and in the piece on Oxygen, they talk about RECs, but also say the launch comes 1 year after Zumo and its partner Zero Labs were awarded a grant by Innovate UK, the UK's national innovation agency, to fund research into the decarbonization of digital assets. Going to Zero Labs, the partner of Zumo, we can see their solution is RECs. And they partnered with none other than, you guessed it, Energy Web. There's also Zumo, and finally also Energy Web's Crypto Climate Accord, whose goal is the decarbonization of digital assets. They're partners, but are the solutions built on EWT? Well, from this article introducing themselves last year, they said, built using Energy Web's open source tech stack, Zero Labs will provide integrated online public marketplace solutions to help zero carbon product sellers meet the needs of buyers, especially small and medium-sized buyers, in achieving their respective clean energy sourcing and carbon mitigation goals. The application promotes existing industry standards and best practices for zero carbon products through synchronization with REC issuance and tracking systems to avoid any risk of double counting or double claiming. Yeah, a Bitcoin ETF is being decarbonized by Energy Web in Europe, their first spot Bitcoin ETF. And as we know, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is launching their own spot Bitcoin ETF in the US soon. BlackRock has been gung-ho on sustainability and ESG. Then, when BlackRock launched their Bitcoin private trust for institutional investors, they spoke about Energy Web and decarbonizing digital assets. It's obvious to me when the spot Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock comes, there will be sustainable goals integrated into it, all powered by that beautiful EWT. Well, cheers from Machu Picchu, viewers. I'll see you next time.
The most trustless name in